Nigel. Live trans.
Good evening all. Thank you for joining us for this talk tonight from Steve Ransome, who's kindly come in to the office and is going to tell us a little bit about some the Spinnies Nature Reserve, where he spends an awful lot of his time and does some absolutely fantastic work for the trust in a volunteering capacity. So yeah, we're going to be on for about 30-40 minutes. The chat box is there, so if you've got any questions throughout the talk, please put it into the chat box, and we'll answer the questions as we go through the talk, but also there'll be an opportunity for some questions at the end. Okay, and like I said, this is being recorded. Hopefully you can all hear us all properly. Steve's a little bit nervous tonight because Steve's never done one of these before, so bless him for coming in and trying. I think it's going to be absolutely wonderful, this talk. I know Steve's a bit not nervous, so I am here with him, so I think it'll be absolutely fine. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Steve. He's going to take you off the talk, and then well, hopefully we'll enjoy it. And if, like I say, if you've got any questions, please put it into the chat box and we'll get through them as we go on to the talk. So over to you, Steve. Are you all right?
Yeah, fine. Well, I think so. Good evening, everybody. And I don't think it's too late to say Happy New Year to everybody. Mark wanted these slides aren't changing with the keyboard.
They're not changing? No. There we go. Right. Always some gremlins at the start.
Gremlins, yes, the burglar alarm went off when we came into the office.
It's early days, it's been one of those days, isn't it?
And anyway, a good evening again to you all. And Mark just asked me to tell you a little bit about myself before we actually start talking about the Spinnies. I was born in the beautiful city of Lincoln, photo there on the right, and I joined the army in 1964 for 12 years and served in North Africa, a little bit in Malta and Cyprus, London and Germany. And after my army career, I moved for a short while to Derby, and where I met Stephanie, my wife, and we moved over to Anglesey in 1984, where I was self-employed. After a few little jobs that went a bit wrong, I decided to go self-employed. And what I was doing was being actually a plumber, where I'd go from making bathrooms from this to this, this to this.
I think that's a present day picture of you and Helen Skelton there, isn't it? More recently when you're down the Spinnies.
That's right. That was for the Country File program that we did. Anyway, a little bit about the Spinnies. There's a little shot there from 1888. And the Spinnies was actually taken over, I've got it written down here, by the North Wales Wildlife Trust in 1983. And the first hide was opened in 1986 by, that's what we call the Sea Hide. And that was opened by Julian Pettifer, if anybody remembers him, way back then. And the gentleman you see on the right, Richard, I met him and the Spinnies actually quite by accident, and I got chatting to him one day, and I found out that he, out of his own pocket, paid for the food and filled the feeders twice a week. And I asked him if he wouldn't mind me doing one of the days of the week and going halves and chipping in, and he was quite delighted about that, and that's how really I started to get involved with the Spinnies. Yeah. This is the Spinnies drone shots, you can see, and we've got the locations of the hides. the road hide, which probably you all know, right next to the lay-by, and the sea hide is the first hide that was opened. And there's the new Viley hide, which was opened by Yolo 3 years ago now.
Wasn't it? Yolo Williams came down 3
Yeah,
years
Yolo
ago.
Williams. This is some drone footage that Steve Harris took for me, showing all the reserve. You can see it's not really a very big reserve, but there's lots of different habitats, and it's a bit special. It's a bit special.
So Steve, before we go on,
Yeah.
how was the Spinnies formed? Because you look at the fields and that drone footage around the edges, and then all of a sudden you've got this fabulous lake and lagoon in there. Why is that there? Where did that come from?
Well, it's originally thought that the soil was excavated out of this area to use for banks to straighten out the river. That was quite some time ago, though. And the holes that were left after all the soil was dug out naturally filled, and it's now filled by rainwater that comes in at 3 points, and a sluice was put in to allow the seawater in. And so it's a mix of sea and fresh water.
Fantastic.
Yeah. No, we don't want that one again. And speaking of the sluice, there's pictures of the sluice that let rainwater out, and the seawater, as the tide recedes, the water is again let out of the lagoon. And so we have been having a few problems with the sluice. You can see by the drone shot down there, that's the shingle line. And that little dark area there is the sluice gate, and it's right on the shingle line. And the photograph on the right there shows how the shingle just keeps getting put back in by the sea. And it causes some problems, but we're on top of it as quick as we can, because we don't want the local fields and the few residences on the Penryn estate to be flooded. This is the work by Natural Resources Wales, and they constantly, we call upon them to dig it out, and their swift response, they usually come round straight away, and they have to dig it all out. Then instead of leaving it on a pile right on the side, they have to move that pile right well away from the sluice area. But I say the sea being, water being so powerful, it just puts it all back in. These are photographs of the reserve actually when it was flooded. And this was about 7 weeks ago. And the picture on the right is the path to Viley hide. And you just couldn't get down there. It is a real problem.
So is that basically because the sluice was blocked and the amount of rainfall that was had?
That's right. The rainwater, which takes us perhaps a day and a half to get down from the mountains, and then it just pours in, and the sluice, if the gate doesn't open, there's nothing, it just floods.
It just floods and then
Yeah.
back step, and then I think it,
Yeah.
but nothing. Well, obviously, there's less kind of things for the birds and the things to eat as well, because they're not being moved around as well. Does that make sense?
That's right.
Yeah.
There's no, and with all the rainwater and the flooding, it gets very muddy and it's not very attractive at all. But once the sluice works and the level drops, and the next time the tide comes in, fish, eels, shrimp, all come into the lagoons, and you'll see the egrets wading away and everything thoroughly enjoys it. And the mallards, because once the mallards nests were flooded, and that has a big impact, because there's no food for the heron, because it likes ducklings. And there's the star of the show, I suppose it is. And the bottom left is, we've got an owl box there, and I caught one day a tawny owl just peeking out from the box. But I've only seen it once. I can't remember the date actually, but and the breeds, we have nesting boxes all around the reserve with 3 owl boxes and lots. I've lost count of how many small nesting boxes we've got, but they're all over the reserve. You can spot them on the trees. Top is the water rail, which is a nice, in fact, it's resident there now. It overwinters at the Spinnies, and we've got 2. One is at the Viley Hide, and one is on the main lagoon itself, and shows at the Road Hide. Little egrets and the goldfinch, big numbers now because of the feeders we've got. Don't be concerned about the crow's beak, because it's got an ingenious way of eating. It's really doing well. I don't know how the beak got like it is, but it eats very well. It turns its head sideways and picks seed up. It's, it's good. And the wrens nesting, and the reed buntings, and the mallards chasing each other and mating. They have been mating since November. There's the egret patiently waiting to see if see what food's around. The buzzard we've had for quite a while now as well. And for the first time ever, bottom left, you see we've got a grey lag goose, and it had two goslings. Goldfinch, although there's plenty of food, they still fight as if there is no tomorrow. Bottom left, we've got firecrest. Top right is the goldcrest and the great spotted woodpecker. And this is what happens when the sluice is working properly. Food comes in, water is the right depth to fish for the heron and the egrets. And there you see the, I think it is a flounder, I'm not sure, I'm not very good on fish. But there you see him on the right there, swallowing it down in one.
So the sluice, how wide is the sluice then? Obviously, is it quite significant in width for those kind of fish to get through?
The sluice gate is about 2 foot wide.
Oh, okay.
By 2 foot high, probably. But how large the hole is behind that, the tidal flap, as it's called, yes. As the tide comes in, the flap floats up. It's got a large float on it, and that allows the water to come in. And if the lagoon floods, if the sluice is fixed and rainwater comes in, the force of the water will open it as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're lucky on the Sea Hide, we've got viewing ports that look over the estuary. And we often see every season has its own favourites. You get the eider duck, and at the bottom left there's fish leaping in the stream, and the cormorant on the big rock that's to the right of the Sea Hide, and the swans and the mergansers that come on the lagoons. And we've had some rarities. We had a black swan 3 years ago. That's an African goose on the left. During lockdown, once while I was there checking on the sluice and filling the feeders, we had a blue-winged teal come in. And in 2016?
Yeah.
In 2016, we did have a bittern on the visible from the Road Hide. That was a nice surprise, because there were about 6 photographers in the hide at the time, and the magpies were mobbing something on the ground. And all of a sudden, this thing took off, and I managed to get 3 photos, and I had no idea what it was. Somebody from the reserve said, "You've got a mitten there." So, and that's the only time we've had one. One was reported being seen at the Viley hide, but I go there a lot, and I've never seen hide and hair of the bittern. We also have, this is a Cayuga Duck, which is an American mallard cross, and it has actually got a ring on its leg, so we think it's an escapee from somewhere. It's been there 2 years now, and I don't think it can produce eggs because of the crossbreeding, because it has mated, it's a she, and she's mated with nearly every male mallard on the reserve. I think she's a bit of a slapper, actually, but there you are. We do, from time to time, get not just the birds. We've had an otter, and we had a mink about 4 years ago, and that was reported. And we've still got the stoats there as well.
How often do the otters seem to? I take it the otters don't reside at the Spinnies, but how often do they come through?
No, but they do pass through, and I'm sure that they regularly pass through. But seeing them, you've got to be there on the day and in daylight, and you know it's luck if you see the otter.
Yeah, otters are, you know, they travel quite far and wide.
They do, and you know, just happened to managed to get a photograph of its face there. So it was nice to see, but then everybody flocks down to the Spinnies trying to see it, but in which time it's passed on. So another animal that we put up with, it was the grey squirrel, and I've just circled there. We bought some squirrel-proof feeders, and he stuck his nose and his teeth through and nibbled the mesh, and now we can get a whole peanut at a time. Very, very clever. You've really got to admire the ingenuity of these. And of course, under each feeders, we get the rats. Oh, I've just noticed that the top left, one of the squirrels leaping from tree to tree. And I say, with once the sluice is working, you get all sorts of things in there. And I caught this cormorant wrestling with an eel for quite a long time, and he dragged it ashore and swallowed it in 3 gulps after it had killed it. Didn't swallow it live.
I bet that was fantastic to see that.
It was, and that was during lockdown. That was pure luck to be there that day, you know, and the sluice was working, everything was right, the light was okay, and we got it. The star of the show, the Kingfisher.
Would I be right in saying this is almost your favourite bird, or one of them?
It changes, you know. When the chicks are being born, I think the long-tailed titchicks are the cutest thing I've ever seen. But the Kingfisher, it puts on a show, and lots of people come to the Spinnies because of the Kingfishers.
Well, including myself. You know, I've discovered the Spinnies again.
Yeah,
I'm working with the trust and being with you, and it's, you know, absolutely fantastic to, you know, you never know what you're going to see down there, but I've been lucky to go down and see the Kingfisher, and taking my kids down and seen the Kingfisher a couple of times. You know, it's just, just that flash of colour is just fantastic.
Yeah, and they overwinter. Fortunately, they overwinter at the Spinnies, and around April, May time, they bring the youngsters in, teach them to fish, and because they're territorial, as the Kingfisher is, they teach them to fish, then shoo them off, go and find your own patch. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And of course, I'm there quite a lot, and because they overwinter there, there's always a good opportunity. And I've sat there for 5 hours and not seen it. I've sat there for 5 minutes, and it's been fishing and coming around, fishing and pooping, as you can see there.
Was the quite remarkable birds. You know, I read a story recently that the Japanese bullet trains were based on them, weren't they? The aerodynamics of the Kingfisher.
Yeah, I think so. And there's also the way when the Kingfisher enters the water, I can't remember the name that but there's a shield goes over its eyes, but it can still see. I can't remember what it's called though. I should have remembered. you know, my age, you forget things. Hovering and coming out of the water. Yes, she has caught something there. I can't quite see what it is, but always a good opportunity to get the kingfisher down there.
So how, when you looked at that picture then, and you said it was a she, so how did you know that was a she?
The female has got red on the underside of its beak.
Okay.
And the male is all black. And people ask me, how do you know the difference? And I tell them, you know, I say to them, if they remember the female wears lipstick, that's the way that I remember it.
So, well, Caroline's asking in the questions, are there still a male and female resident at the Kingfisher resident, the Spinnies at the moment?
At the moment, it's the male. We haven't seen the female since just before Christmas.
Okay.
So, but with it being slightly warmer, if you like, it could be that she's down the Ogwen nesting.
Okay. So is that the river which runs alongside the Spinnies? Is it the Ogwen?
That's right, and it runs down. And I was informed that there was a kingfisher nest on the bank down by the Clandaguy Industrial Estate.
Oh, it's further up, yeah.
There's a long, and it's not too far away as the kingfisher flies, so it could have been that was ours, but we don't know that for sure.
Nikki Brooks has actually told us what the membrane is called. It's called a nictitating membrane, which is what protects the eye.
Thank you, Nikki, did you say?
Yeah, Nikki told that.
Thank you, Nikki.
Avid watcher of Spring Watch, he added in there. So no, thank you for that. So obviously between me and Steve, we'd forgotten that one. So yeah, brilliant.
So there you go. And say I've been, because I go down there so often, we're down there filling the feeders or just bird watching, you know, and checking on the reserve. There's a public footpath runs through the reserve, and we've got a responsibility to make sure that that's safe. Fallen trees, all the flooding, etc.
Is that is the Wales coast path run through the reserve, or is it next to the reserve?
It's along the shoreline,
so right next to the reserve. Then,
yeah,
the
and then it goes off from the beach car park past the farm and continues that way. There's no further access.
If anyone wants to find the Spinnies, you've not found it, and if you're working your way along the Wales coast path, you won't be able to miss it, will you?
No. And if you travel from the Penryn Castle roundabout to Talabont, just keep going, and it's signed Nature Reserve to the left.
I remember telling you when I first started working for Trust, and I only lived down the road in Cayuga Duck. You know, and I used to go to school in Bangor, and I didn't even know the Spinnies existed until I started working just 3 years ago. I was really ashamed of that. You know, I'm 40. I know. And, you know, 37 years of my life, I didn't even know the place was there. So, you know, it is kind of hidden in plain sight, isn't it? Because the signs are there, but, you know, if you don't know about it, you just don't stop to go down. And now, probably a weekly thing for me now.
Yeah. And when it gets busy, it's because it's only a very narrow track to get down there. And it is a tarmac road, but it's been severely damaged now.
Yeah.
The milk tanker goes down there every day to collect milk from the farm. And you know, there's a heavy vehicle, and that's taking its toll on the road. Just an odyssey. Lots of people say how cute the feet are, because they're, you know, when you see it perched there, they are rather tiny, cute, but that's just a close-up of its feet. That was the male. I don't know if there's any difference in the feet.
Why, do you know why the feet are shaped like that?
No idea at all.
Well, if anyone could tell us in the chat,
who's watching?
Yeah.
It might be the male, because she hasn't painted her toenails.
Yeah.
This is a pair of the youngsters that I took 3 years ago. You know, and it's funny how these two males become really aggressive. They're protective of their own patch. Kicks in quite early, and they chase each other all over the reserve. And if mum and dad are there at the same time, there's 4 flying around the reserve, and you just don't know where to look or point your camera. It's fantastic. It really is fantastic. Not only on the reserve have we got the lagoons, but we've got 2 meadows as well. And they're a delight. In the spring, the flowers come out, the butterflies start to come out. and the first signs of spring and the snowdrops, of course. Then you see the buds bursting out and the insects come to the flowers. It's all over the reserves, something different to see, depending what you're into.
Did you say there were snowdrops already on the reserve this week?
No.
No, it wasn't.
No, I haven't seen any snowdrops on the reserve because there's one particular patch right by the gate on the long lane to the sea hide where they usually appear first. If not, just outside that gate, along the side where my no parking sign is. They're there.
They have been, they've been quite early. Some snowdrops are, with it because it's been so mild. They have been coming out quite early in lots of places. Quite a few people on social media this week have been telling us they had snowdrops in their garden or close to them had already come out. And
that's right.
Some strange weather, hasn't it? Because it's been quite mild for this time of year.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I've seen the post, some on Facebook, the people around. I'll just go back to my script. It's all unrehearsed, this, folks.
Like I said, this is the first time you've ever done one of these. It's just delightful to hear about a different place, We get people on online talks who come from all over the UK and even the world, and it's nice and interesting to hear something just a little bit different, or a place you haven't been before, and it gives people a reason to come along, because they now know about it. So, we're not trying to be professionals. We're not the BBC, Steve. We're just North Wales Wildlife Trust, just trying to do an interesting talk, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I might be into it when we're finished.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Fine. You're doing great anyway, so don't worry.
Once I discovered the Spinnies, I had a mate of mine, Ernest Filey, an old chap, and he was into photography, and I used to take him down to the Spinnies quite regularly. And when he died, he left me a bit of money. And the first thing I did was have built in his name a hide. And you see there, Richard Evans, a good friend of mine, knew Yolo Williams, and he had a chat with him and told him sort of what I'd done. And Yolo was a bit impressed, and he took 3 hours out of his busy schedule and came and opened the hide for me.
Fantastic. Yolo is now one of the vice presidents of the Wildlife Trust as well. Just become one over the last few months as well. So,
a fantastic bloke, fantastic bloke. No airs and graces, down to earth, great to meet, and makes you feel comfortable as well when you're talking to him. So once the trust had got the money, they started working on the hide. I think it was Keogh and Mr. Keogh and some other people built it. I can't quite remember.
Keogh Construction, I think it could be.
Yeah, I think that's right.
They're a local firm, aren't they? They're one of our green partners for the trust. So,
yeah, that's right.
I think we've got a video of Yolo, haven't we? Because telling us about his numerous visits.
Welcome to the Spinnies today in North Wales Wildlife Trust Reserve. It's the third hide that we have. It's a fantastic place.
I'll play that, didn't it? I don't know what's going on here. It's all right. No, it's all right. The gremlins are in again.
Technical hitches.
Spinnies today in North Wales Wildlife Trust Reserve. The third hide that we have. It's a fantastic place. 30 years. It's just a nice spot in Wales. It's just a nice place to kind of lose yourself for half an hour. It's very fascinating.
It's not just Yolo who's been down to the Spinnies, is it, Steve? Who's been down recently?
Helen Skelton from Country File.
A little video here, haven't we? So here we go. We can play this one as well. This one plays. There we go.
Oh no, actually, I've gone back. Sorry about this, folks. It's as we said, we're not BBC. Did the mouse not do that?
You might use.
On cue. That was a great day. That was, what's happened there?
Oh, that's fine. Just click the next one. So on the back of that, I've had a few comments that the video was really jumpy and there wasn't any sound. So what I can do is I will send you all an email tomorrow with the links to all the videos, and you can watch them through your own leisure tomorrow, guys. So I'll send you all an email with the links to all the videos tomorrow. So I apologize for that. So yeah, just want to carry on.
I
Steve.
can't see.
There
I can't see it. Oh, there's all that. That's fine. Oh, cheers. Thank you. Okay, who's next? The feeders, we're hungry. This last Wednesday, Stick Davis went to fill the feeders and discovered that for the second time, the feeders had been stolen from the Bailey hide. And it was particularly bad on this occasion because they were feeders donated by his, I think, sister-in-law. And they were quite expensive, I think, totaled about £70, the two. They'd been stolen again.
So who's Stick? Is Stick another one of the volunteers who comes down?
Yeah, Stick Davis. When Richard Williams found that filling the feeders, particularly when the new Viley hide was opened, he found it a bit much. And I asked for volunteers, and Stick comes up all the way over from Colwyn Bay and fills the feeders for us every Wednesday. And I do the same on the Saturday. And after too long after Richard retired, I opened the Facebook page for the Spinnies. And I think we've got 1,370 odd members now. And then I was paying for the bird food at the time. And then we stuck a donate button at the bottom on your North Wales Wildlife Reserves page. Right at the bottom there, there's a donate button. And the response to that has been absolutely fantastic. It really has. It's been marvellous.
There's an awful lot of people who help out, not only the Spinnies, but a lot of our reserves and the wildlife just in general. It's humbling. You know, there's so many people who take care of nature and want to contribute in different ways. It's fantastic. So no, thank you all.
Yeah, a big thank you.
It's not only the feeders who have a problem with though, is it? We have a bit of a rubbish issue sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, we have. Well, when I fill the feeders myself, when I've got the empty buckets, when I come back, I just go around and pick the litter up and take that home and put it in my own bin. It's a shame we have to do it, but there we are. That's human for you. So the work parties, which are held on the first Friday of every month down at the Spinnies. And there you see Matt Cole, who's actually salaried by the North Wales Wildlife Trust. He's a reserves, like you call him manager?
He's a reserve warden, so he does quite a few of the reserves, including the Spinnies. But some of you will also may have met Matt because he also does a lot of the Anglesey ones, so Corscork and Camden as well. Matt gets involved up there.
Yeah.
And if anyone's ever met Matt, you will always, he's usually got his little dog Scruff with him, hasn't he?
Yes.
Lagging behind him.
Yeah.
But it's not just Matt who, Matt kind of manages what the trust needs to do for each of the reserves as a reserve manager. But we can't do it without the volunteers. And it's the fabulous volunteers who come down and help us that are absolutely fantastic. The best part of dealing with volunteers and people who want to help is probably the best part of my job, because I work for the trust, and it's fantastic seeing them. And if anyone ever wants to get involved with volunteering or doing like that, just head over to our website and click on the volunteering button, and you can get all the details on there. Like Steve says, just come down on Friday and see what they do.
First Friday of the month. And Matt often brings students down from Bangor University, and they help us out as well, and they really get stuck in. It's brilliant. We couldn't do it all on our own. Matt does the big stuff, clearing trees, ash dieback and stuff like that. And there you see him clearing reeds out the bottom left that have gathered around the sluice outlet from the lagoon itself. Now, apart from volunteers getting involved, there was a young chap came to the new Viley hide after it had been opened, and very shy he was. His name is Rocklin, and his mum had said that he's just started painting birds and is using the photographs of the Spinnies Facebook page to paint his birds. So I thought it might be a good idea to get Rocklin himself involved. So I suggested to him that we could decorate the hide with some paintings if he'd like to do some for me. Well, it was only about 3 days later that his mum sent me a photograph of him already starting working on the paintings. And when he'd got these two finished, we all met down at the Spinnies, and I put the paintings up. And the same there, the one on the left, the goldfinch, is Sonia Galloway, although I've never seen Sonia since, I don't think. But lockdown put a stop to this sort of work, you know, getting full steam ahead, if you like. And after Rocklin had presented us with the pictures, I had a little ceremony down at the Viley Hyde where Rocklin's parents came down with him. And I knew that Rocklin's hero was Yolo Williams. Well, I'd taken a photograph of Yolo down at the Spinnies on another occasion, not during the Viley Hyde opening. And I've printed it out and framed it for him and gave him a copy of that picture and a photograph of the Kingfisher as well. And Rocklin's, I took photographs of his paintings and blew them up, and they are now on the Viley Hyde wall. And it's nice to see young people like that getting involved. And he's going to be a little star one day. He's going to be another Yolo, I'm sure it is. He's a great character, and his parents really support him. And it's fantastic. It really is. Nice to see. Nice to get that bit of interaction, and just from an open day. It was great. Fantastic.
So these, we've recently launched a new range in our Wildlife Trust shop. So you can see some of the new designs we've got in the shop there. I'll put the link into the chat. So if anyone's really interested in, you know, supporting us or just want some really cool merchandise, we've got plenty of things in there as well. So there's some lovely new designs in there, some seals ones. Like I said, links in there. Definitely have a look at in our shop, but these are the new ranges. We thought we'd show the new Kingfisher ones we've got, just on the back of the fact that Steve was talking about the Kingfishers and the Spinnies tonight. And also the fact that you can, if you want to get involved to support the Spinnies, we also do some Kingfisher sponsor packs. But I've got another question here from Megan Stone, Steve, so we'll go through that. So have Kingfishers always been a sight to see at the Spinnies since the trust took over in 1993, or they only started residing there more recently?
Well, they've been visible to me since I started going, that was about 8 or 9 years ago. They've been there all the time. What was happening before then, because the Spinnies, if you like, wasn't very well known, you know, I've no idea what happened before that. But when I started the Spinnies Facebook page and people started coming down and I was getting more involved, and I've joined the North Wales Wildlife Trust myself and volunteered, you know, for the work parties. And then I was asked if I joined the local committee, which I'm a member of, but we haven't met for 2 years, you know, one thing and another. So the only thing that I can say is since I've been there, they have been overwintering there. Okay. But that's about 8 years.
Again, Megan's asking, do you tend to see pairs of Kingfishers or just one individuals? Or
well, usually over winter we see them both, but as I said a bit earlier, I've only seen the male. I haven't seen the female since before Christmas. Okay. And they're usually around. But then again, the lifespan of a Kingfisher is believed to be 8-9 years. So it could be that Mrs. King has gone. But every year, if she disappears around this time of year, I'm thinking, oh no, you know, the sparrowhawk's got her, or she's gone. And then, boing, it'll turn up. But whether it's the same female or not, I don't know.
Megan's also asking, with them being quite territorial, she's guessing you don't see many other pairs around.
No. You might see the pairs of the youngsters, but they're taught to fish and go and find your own patch. Yeah. This is ours, you know. Yeah.
Rocklin's on, and Rocklin's got a question.
Oh.
So Rocklin's asking, have you always been interested in birds, or was it just because of you discovering the Spinnies that started your interest?
Hello, Rocklin. Nice to have you on. Yes, I think I started bird watching when I was about 4 years old. And I used to watch programs on the telly. If people remember Look with Peter Scott and other nature programs. And I just started, and you wouldn't believe this, but in my time when I was a youngster, collecting birds' eggs was a hobby. You wouldn't hear of it today, but that's how I started. Then at various places that I've been around the world, I never did any bird watching really. You know, sort of being in the army, I sort of lost touch with the bird watching. But when I left the army, I got back into it and started a bit of photography and stuff like that. But nothing like the paintings that you've done, Rocklin. Thank you very much for those. And now that hopefully things are getting back to a bit more of normal, we hope to, that you'll give us a few more of those paintings to put up in the hide. And it'd be nice to see you again.
It would be, and it'd be fantastic to see. Megan's also asking, she's a bit of a wildlife photographer herself. She's just wondering what camera and lens you use.
Hello. I've got a Canon 1DX Mark III, and I use primarily a 400mm f5.6 prime lens. I do have a 400 2.8. It's a bit heavy. I'm getting a bit too old to lug it around now. So if you want to buy it,
So we've just got a couple of things for the trust anyway. We'll just quickly fly through this slide. So if anyone wants to keep in touch with what the trust gets up to, the easiest way of doing it is just sign up for the newsletter. The link's there at the top. Also, if you'd like to support us, you can become a member, or you can make a donation or get involved with volunteering. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to get onto our website, wildlifetrust.org.uk. And all those links are on there, and the shops on there, and directions to the Spinnies. And like I said, the videos which didn't work so well tonight, I will stick in an email to you all tomorrow, but they are all available on the website as well.
Would the video still be jerky on YouTube then?
I think it's because it's coming through the Zoom. It won't be when they play it on YouTube directly. No.
Oh,
so
right.
I'll make sure I send all those links to you tomorrow, guys. Yeah, tomorrow I'll send it all across to you. I'm not doing it tonight. I'm going home after this.
Yeah.
So,
and don't not only keeping in touch with us, so pop down the Spinnies the first Friday of the month and bring a rake. It'd be great to see you. And
have anyone got any more questions for Steve? Is anyone whilst we're still on? We've got plenty of time for some more questions. Anyone's got anything to ask? Kate said, thank you, Steve, for the talk. It was very interesting, and she really liked seeing the pictures. That's lovely to hear, Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Looking forward to seeing you again.
I think the next question coming. So how, so Julia in Fairburn's asking, is the area disabled, has got disabled access?
2 hides. Hello, good evening. 2 hides are wheelchair accessible. And also, if when you come down, if you're thinking of coming down, if you let me know, I'll come and meet you and help you in any way that I can.
So there's an interesting gate at the Spinnies, isn't there? The main gate in.
Oh, opposite the farm.
Yeah, so it's isn't it a cantilever gate?
A cantilever gate, and it lifts up. The number of people I've seen trying to push it, and it actually lifts up.
So it's actually a disabled access gate, isn't it? So
yes,
it will actually lift up.
It lifts
with minimal effort. So you just have to push down your hand, and the whole gate actually lifts up.
Yeah, it's got a counterweight, but it doesn't close all the way now. And Matt's going to sort that out. Right. The counterweight is scraping the wall, and it won't close all the way down. But that's not a problem.
No, things change over time, don't they? That's the thing. The wall's probably moved a little bit, and everything
else.
So, but there is, yeah. So the main entrance to the Spinnies, there is a cantilever gate. And if anyone's struggling with it, you literally push it down one side and the whole thing lifts up, doesn't it?
That's right.
And then as you get further down towards the sea hide, there's another quite a special gate, isn't it? Which is a self-closing gate. Self-closing,
yeah. It is a self-closing gate. Yeah, if you like to come down and you know, just let me know and I'll give you all the help I can and show you around if you like. Cross fingers, there'll be a kingfisher for you to see.
So what's the most memorable thing you've ever seen down the Spinnies in your time visiting?
I think the cormorant with the eel. Okay. I think that is bird-wise, that is.
I'm non-bird wise. What's the most fascinating thing you've seen there?
Some of the things I found in some of the hides are quite fascinating.
I bet.
And I think the most, the thing I got the most out of was getting Rocklin to do those paintings.
Yeah.
That really moved me, if you like. Yeah. Any other questions?
So another one. People would have probably missed it in the video, in the YouTube video from Country File, which was skipping across. But one of the points at the end of that video was talking about the effects of the coastal erosion on the side of the Spinnies, but also about climate change in general.
Yeah.
How anxious are you about climate change in the Spinnies?
Well, I've seen the shingle line move further up since I've been going there.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me to be accelerating. And as the Atlantic warms up, the weather's just getting a bit stronger and more frequent.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned. Like I said to Helen Skelton, I want to enjoy it for as long as I can, while I can. But it doesn't take much of a sea level rise for the Spinnies to disappear. And there's places around the world. If the sea level rose considerably, Florida in its entirety would disappear, because there's not a hill on Florida. It's flat.
So Julia's asking, how's the best way of contacting you? So I would suggest probably by
the Facebook page.
The Facebook page. So I again will stick that into the email to everyone tomorrow. The link to that Facebook page. So that page is run entirely by Steve and a couple of other admins. It's not an actual official trust page. But Steve does this all in his spare time, so it's a great place to find out more about the Spinnies. And Steve's in the office and things like that quite often in touch with us, so we know the bigger things that are going on with the trust. But it's also a great way of letting us know any issues on that page, because it gets back to us very, very quickly. So I'll add everyone into that. I'll send you that link to the email tomorrow as well for everyone. Okay. Yeah. Daisy's asking, do the farm dogs follow anyone else through the first gate when they go down to the Spinnies?
Bob, the older of the dogs, has been following me forever. And if you throw stones for him, he's with you all day. He's a fantastic dog. And there's a new dog there that I've seen grow from a puppy. He's I don't know what breed he is. I think he might be a bit of a mix. But they do follow you, but they're not a problem on the reserve itself. They just want you to play with them, In fact, Richard Williams, the chap who used to do the feeders before I did, he used to take treats down for Bob, the old dog, but the farmer told him off.
Well, they are working dogs next year.
They are working dogs. Yeah, you can see Bob herding the cattle up the lane. He's a lovely dog, lovely dog.
Someone else is asking, when would be the best time to see a buzzard around in the Spinnies?
Well, there's one there at the moment. I put a photograph up earlier in the show of the buzzard that is there now. And unfortunately, I did find one floating in the lagoon, and I sent it off to something Gov Wales. I put the buzzard in the freezer overnight, and they sent a courier up and picked it up the next day to see what was the cause of death of that, and that was bird flu. And the kestrel, not the kestrel, the sparrowhawk that I found, we sent away, and we just got the results back. It wasn't bird flu, but they think it was, it died of starvation. So what caused that, we don't know. Anyway, they're going to do further tests and let me know in a couple of months the results of that.
So talking about bird flu at the moment, instances seem to be increasing at the moment. It is a bit of an issue. So
it is.
Before you do anything, please don't go in handling any birds unless you've taken advice first and you're making sure you're wearing gloves and covering it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Just report them. And there's our website, and there's plenty of other websites such as the RSPB site, which will give you advice on what to do if you do find any dead birds at the moment. So there we go. I wouldn't advise picking them up and sticking them in your freezer like Steve did. That's all I'm saying.
No. Well, I wore gloves, of course, and I'd been told yeah, I went on the website and see what to do, and then get in touch with Gov Wales. And then, funnily enough, their health service got in touch with me to ask me how I handled it and have I got any symptoms.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that was good.
One thing we didn't put a picture of in tonight was no, we didn't take a picture of sparrowhawk, did we? Did you get sparrowhawks down there often?
Yeah, I've taken some photos, and perhaps I should have sent you one of those. About, you know.
Yeah, I think I just forgot as well.
I forgot.
You always tell me when the sparrowhawks go down, because you said the reserve just goes quiet.
Yeah.
There's nothing there, and you're like, oh, the sparrowhawks around, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Which is just brilliant to hear.
Yeah, I've seen the sparrowhawk a few times. The buzzard more frequent than the sparrowhawk, fortunately, but both Stick Davis and I have seen the sparrowhawk chasing the kingfisher.
Okay.
And your heart's in your mouth, because kingy flies very close and low to the water, but the sparrowhawk, oh. And it's very maneuverable, a sparrowhawk. You know, a kingfisher is a very small bird and can flit around, but a sparrowhawk, magic to watch, but oh, don't get our kingfisher.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We've got a couple more questions and it'll be 8 o'clock then, so we'll let everyone go. So a couple more. What's your favourite time of year to visit? Or do you have a favourite time of year?
Each season is special. The flowers emerging in the spring, the young birds flying around, the nest boxes buzzing, and then the autumn, the changing colours, they're fantastic. And the winters, we get the snipe in, and the little grebes, they come in for winter, but they're not with us in the summer. So each season has got a special bit, and it's something to look forward to. But now at my age, they're flying by. The time is flying by. It's scary, really scary.
And someone else is asking, you get a lot of swans on the estuary down there?
Lots of swans. They go up the river to molt.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also get swans coming from Shropshire as well. You get a lot over. I think someone else was telling me that a lot of the swans from Shropshire come over.
Oh, right.
I think it is when they're molting, they're losing their feathers.
Yeah.
So they use them out for the Ogwen, don't they?
Yes, they do.
As a safe haven, because they can sit in the water, but it's shallow enough so they can feed themselves without having to get out of the water because they can't currently fly. Is that correct? That's
right. When they're molting, they're a bit stuck. That's right. And huge numbers. Yeah,
I've been down a couple of times. I've seen 50, 60 swans at the mouth.
But Jeff Gibbs is probably the chap who could answer that a lot more, because he does the counts.
I think it was Jeff Gibbs who may have told me that, actually.
Was it?
So, yeah,
there you go.
I think that's it. I think we'll call that a day. We're going to record this talk and stick it on YouTube anyway, for you all. But like I said, I will send the links to all those videos to you tomorrow, with links to the Facebook Spinnies page as well. So if anyone got any more questions for Steve, or you never visited the place before, or you just want to meet up for a natter,
meet up for a natter. And don't forget, if you can't volunteer, there's always, we've been asking people to think about leaving a small percentage of their wealth in their will, which I've done as well.
Done that recently as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, and we offer a free will writing service as well, which is available. All the information again is on our website.
Yeah.
So you can get the information on there. But like I say, I'll send this email with you tomorrow. If anyone got any other questions or wishes to join us for any other online talks, just jump on our website. We've got another talk tomorrow about from Caroline Bateson, who works for us and NRW, and she's actually a warden for the Gwydir Forest. So she's doing a talk about secrets of the Gwydir Forest tomorrow night, which should be interesting.
Right.
There's also next week we're doing a talk about Northeast Reserve. So one of the reserve officers for the Northeast will be giving a talk about places such as Minera, Marford Quarry, and places like that. And there's lots more coming up as well. So yeah, have a look at our website. There'll be plenty of talks on there. Any questions, by all means, get in contact with myself or Steve. It's been lovely to hear and speak to you all tonight. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I apologise for those glitchy videos, but I'll get them across to you tomorrow. Okay.
Thanks for popping by, and I won't be so nervous the next time. Good night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.